Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
The podcast is the place to come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
Yep, that's right. We're the RPPP.
Every time.
Every time.
So this week, no news. This week, we are otherwise inhibited, and we can't do the news, so we are going to do another patented 5-minute warning.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, is there any housekeeping?
Probably not for this week.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so, because I can't read the future.
Unfortunate. We might have to find a new co-host. And if you don't know, 5-minute warning.
Part of the list of requirements on the fucking resume is like can predict the future.
Yeah, I'm just keeping you on here until we can find someone who predicts. So if you don't know, 5-minute warning is the segment, our podcast, where we go down a list of questions, and we have 5 minutes to answer every one of them. And we talk as much as we can about it in those 5 minutes, and then after it's up, no more.
No more.
And at the end, we do a little bonus round of Keep or Kill, which Mike has been doing a tournament bracket. And he's slowly killing off some mascots in favor of other ones, and it's quite fun. So.
You get a kick out of it, that's for sure.
Let's get right into the 5-minute warning. You know the warning, the 5-minute one.
Yeah, the one that starts with the purge.
The one that starts with the purge. The music was playing right now. Again, this is music that plays for a little too long, so we need to...
Make small time.
Just, yeah, a little bit.
Just a purge.
Just a small time.
Just a small purge.
Just a small purge.
Just a little purge.
Not a lot. It would just be like we raided one house, like that one in the hill.
The one we saw on the way here.
Yeah. We were like, they're the purge.
Yeah, they're the purge, you and I.
That's the one.
And hopefully there's no one in there that has to make us listen to a tale.
I assume, though, since they had money, that, like, they would probably, in the event of a purge, they would be pretty well protected. All the houses you want would be pretty well protected, I would assume.
No.
Yeah.
Rich people are laziest.
I think they'd have the most protect. If the purge was a thing once a year, they would definitely invest in, like...
Well, no, we're talking about the first purge ever. Like, it'd be like...
The
siren goes off, and then we're just, like, booking it down the road.
First purge ever, like, they're going to give no notice for it. Like, the president's just like, go.
Just pulling, like, a total Moe with his butcher knife. Across the horizon.
Must kill Moe. Whee! Alright, start that timer.
Alright, starting.
If you could push back one or more games into next fall, which games would you push? I already have an answer. I already have multiple answers.
Multiple answers.
All are pushed back. No.
Yeah.
In 5 days from now, there is a little game called Metroid Samus Returns coming out on the 3DS. I ain't gonna have no time to play that right now. And I don't know if I'll get to it with all the other stuff coming out, or anytime soon, you know what I mean? I wish it would just push back to... I know next fall's a long time, but, like, do it.
What are the two Bethesda games coming out in October? It's Wolfenstein and...
Evil Within 2.
So I would push back Wolfenstein by a couple of months. Or it just says next year, right?
It says next fall, but, like, whatever.
Not next fall.
It could be whatever. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the question is next fall, but, like...
No, but I mean, like, just to give some distance between the two, because the idea of a single company releasing 2 games at the same time, like, no one does that. They always stagger their stuff. Like, give some people some time to play.
And I feel like those are, like... within the same realm of each other
enough
that like
totally.
you're eating your own competition, you know, like you're eating your own lunch.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to eat your own lunch.
Oh yeah. There's a phrase that I was supposed to use there that I didn't quite get right. If you know what it is, tweet me at the KLG.
Well, what's coming out for December? There's a couple of things inside of there that I was thinking about as well.
There's Call of Duty. There's Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds, which I'll get to. I'm not worried about that one.
No. And, I mean, it's actually those two. Those are the only two I really think need to be pushed off. I mean, you're talking about a game that needs more dev time. Most of the time, these games are so delayed based on that. I'm like,
Yeah, no, you're right. There's a bunch of other ones that are supposed to come out this year. I doubt these will make it, though.
Yeah.
For a lot of these.
No, and I'm not really worried about it. I mean, most of these were, like, kind of waiting and hoping they would come back, like, sooner and release on the appropriate times.
Yeah, December, there's nothing, really.
No.
Nothing for us. I mean, there's stuff for people, like Star Wars Battlefront 2, like, tons of people looking forward to that. That's a November game.
Yeah.
Rhyme coming on the Switch, great. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on November 17th. Yeah, I'm like, don't care.
I would just stagger the releases that are coming up in October, especially like even with all the TV shit coming out as well. Like, fuck, I don't need to like kind of quadruple all that.
Yeah, like move Wolfenstein like a month, like just the end of November.
I know it sells well, but I think it's only because buyers are just excited for content, right? And they literally like, we don't release anything else before that, so now is your only chance to buy it right away. But it seems like such a bad time to sell shit because like. It's the very first half of the school semester, everyone's just getting their projects going. You know, like life is just getting into that point.
So I don't know how relevant this is now. This is from a couple of years ago, but there was an article and a study about like how, not a study, but just like data about because a lot of people at the time were talking about, okay, why are we getting all these games in like November, October? Like why can't the stagger releases? Why can't like it come out like if a game came out in June that it came out in November, it would get like all the attention because nothing comes out in June. You know what I mean? And apparently the data presents that like even if you're like a nobody game and you release in November rather than June, like even if you're dominating the talk of the town in June, you're more likely to still sell more units in the Christmas season than in the summer season. And I thought that was kind of crazy considering the success I've seen out of games like Dying Light, which were released really early in that year.
I don't think that's the case anymore.
I thought it was such a weird like.
And even on Christmas season, to me, I mean, if you released a game more like directly into December, that would make more sense. I mean, also at the time it makes more sense. Like everything's winding down. You get the 3 weeks of Christmas off in general. Holidays happen. You know, you're gonna have to spend those fucking days with your families that you don't want to, and you're just like in a basement with a TV going, "Dear God, let me do something I want to do," right? And you can get it, and all the kids want shit as Christmas gifts. It's a perfect time. But like 2 months beforehand, and considering how quickly we run through content, I mean, back in the day, yeah, like if you took one game and you were playing that game for 2 months, sure. But like today, you know, you're looking at 5 or 6 games within a season, like. Just stagger them out.
And even South Park Fractured But Whole, I would push that one if I had not already bought it. I just have it, so I'm just gonna have it on my Xbox One when it comes out on October 17th, sandwiched right in between these other two juggernauts. Yeah, fuck that. Come on, guys. Like,
I have to say, there's nothing in the last half of this season of games for this last quarter that's releasing that I'm actually 100% beyond super excited about.
Super Mario Odyssey as well. Shit, like,
So that was my last one I was gonna hit on was like Super Mario Odyssey. I would push off because it's later off. I'm going to go grab myself a Switch soon, and that's the game I want on it. But I would like to just push that whole purchase off until like December or even next year.
Yeah. Like pick it up with the Mario or something.
But in contrast, like how excited am I for Wolfenstein? I'm excited to try it. Like, but I'm not the biggest Wolfenstein fan. Never was. Not since the beginning. It's nothing against the game. Just literally not my favorite game in the universe. Evil Within looks incredible. I'm very excited to play it, but it's no fucking like I don't know Dragon Age to me or something or Horizon. Like I'm fucking stoked for the expansion.
Yeah, no, same.
Like
that's the thing. Like I would push like so many of these fucking. All right.
Yeah, like just stagger them out even within a period of themselves. Like we've just had 2 months, but one out in fucking like August, September, October, November, December.
Yeah.
Like even then, that'd be fine.
Start the clock.
Starting.
What other franchise would you like to have a side adventure similar to Uncharted Lost Legacy?
Horizon. And I'm getting it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
But I mean, what context though? Because like the new Uncharted that got out, remember, like I said, it was this weird thing where like it's just gonna be a DLC, it's just a little side pack, and now it's literally its own game.
Yeah.
Because like Neil Druckmann came in and everyone was just like, just let him do his shit. It's somehow turning into gold. Everything he touches. I picture him like that fucking god from.
He's like Jared Leto walking in and becoming Jesus.
Jared Leto becoming Jesus. No, he's like the god from Princess Mononoke, and as it walks, like it grows things behind it. Like Neil Druckmann comes in, he's like touching the walls, and everything's just growing and turning lush.
His beard is little tendrils touching and blessing people on the way.
There's a light behind. Oh no!
You can have a good idea today. Their eyes turn white, and he's just like fucking.
He's like rolls on the floor. Like, this is counterproductive.
They start foaming at the mouth. Could not handle it. Could not handle my creativity.
Too much thought.
So yeah, like the big one would be like immediately my mind went to like Last of Us, and I was like, we already got that. We got a cool side adventure with Ellie already.
Mass Effect Andromeda. I would actually like DLC for that. I know everyone else hated it, but I want more. Because I know we're never going to actually go back to Andromeda anymore. But only thing, like I said in the previous half of this or the previous podcast, was the only thing I enjoyed was the pioneering aspect of Andromeda. It was like the culture and community that grew up from what we were doing, launching society in this new place. I wanted to see that. I had no care about the fucking bad guy aliens and that. Like, no care. Or whatever. Like the cat. Fuck the cat. Who fucking cares about the cat? Then their whole like threat at the end of the thing, don't give a shit. But I loved like trying to like live on the pioneering edge of space. That was totally fun. I want DLC covering that.
You want that arc that's still missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go after the fucking fucking Tali's race.
Why can't I remember their name? Quarian.
The
Quarian arc.
Yeah, I want to go after the Quarian arc.
yeah, like Mass Effect's always been such a good one with side adventure stuff. Like, yeah, it would just be nice to see. I mean, obviously, we're not getting into this fucking.
And I think about that fucking Andromeda one too. Like, always got me. Like, I mean, if you're talking about DLC, what a fucking nugget to leave behind, right? Because, like, okay, so there's a Turian arc that just has Turians on it. There's the Asari arc, just has Asaris, just has Solarians, and then the fucking Quarian arc has everyone else.
It has like the Drell and like
the Elcor, the Drell. It has the fucking
jellyfish
people. It has the Quarians. It's got the little gnome people. It's got them all on one fucking arc.
Volus, yeah.
The Vols, like. It's like this arc of joy lost in space, and they're just leaving it out for you. Like, yes, I want that DLC.
Like, if you're going to discover one, like that would have been the one to include in the game.
Yeah.
I was thinking like even Persona 5 would be like might be a cool like side adventure thing, but they already kind of do that.
Yeah.
But they do weird shit. Like they did that Persona Q, and it was like, here's the Persona 3 people and the Persona 4 people put into one game. It's exactly what you want, and hey, this game is canon. And then like if you play the game, at the very end, everyone just forgets what happens. So it's not really canon. None of that fucking matters. So, and I mean, like, you know, Persona 5 is getting these spin-offs. It's like Dancing All Night or whatever, and, you know, and like they're gonna be in the new fighting game and
it's
stuff.
Too much of a complete story with Persona, so that's the thing.
Yeah, like I almost feel like
they killed God. Like I think you did it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but yeah, the best you could hope for is a Persona 5 Crimson Edition or something, because they did Persona 3 Fez, which was same game, added content. And they did Persona 4 Golden, same game, added content. There was a whole new dungeon, a whole new character, like social link to go with, and like 100 new personas or something.
Yeah.
Like that's more likely than a side adventure. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know how a side adventure would work. You're back just in his normal life. He's just like, oh, this kind of sucks. It's just a life sim now.
So it's like, yeah, it's like, I mean, the 3 games that happened this year, because I don't think I would want to go for a DLC for something that happened last year. I moved on. You know.
I mean, they said side adventure for franchises in general. Is there anything even in the past that you would have been like, oh, I would like to see more of that? Like, the ones I'm thinking of, we got BioShock DLC with Minerva's Den and stuff. We got like the big ones.
I can't think of anything that never, because like DLC was such a big thing. Like even on Mass Effects, we got like 2 or 3 amazing DLC content packages. Witcher did the same thing. Fucking Dragon Age Inquisition added like 65 hours worth of extra DLC, which was in a complete story to the complete end of the Inquisitor.
I feel like a lot of the best ones already do have side content.
Yeah.
And like things like that.
And since that trend has ended, and it seems like DLC expansions like that, other than Uncharted, haven't happened.
Sorry, maybe we're probably pretty late in the question now, but do you think maybe they meant side adventure as in like the characters aren't the main characters?
Yeah, but even then, I feel like it's explored in all this content for all of them, and like. Fuck Horizon Zero Dawn. There's no other story than Aloy's. I don't care about anyone else but Aloy.
What if you played as Nil?
No.
Nil?
Don't care now.
Nil?
I know.
What's his name?
Yeah, Nil.
Nil. You played as Nil.
No.
Okay, but hear me out. Gil.
Yeah, no one in none of the side characters in Horizon mattered all that much. And then like fucking Persona, like you play out entire stories and relationships with every single fucking character.
I want to play as the Sun Lord guy from Horizon, and I want it to be like a Civ game. Okay. Next up, Subclock. Did you ever have to force yourself to play a game because you tried to make yourself like it? If so, what was it?
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Whew. Harsh.
I played that with all the bugs, remember?
Yeah.
So, like, I had to force myself through, and then, like, I got all the patches halfway through, and I'm like, oh, so I really had to force myself through to like that, and I was not going to let everyone else hating on it make me hate it. But then, I mean, I forced myself through a lot of BioShock Infinite, and I never learned to like it, though. But I was this isn't
about learning to like it. It's just like, did you try to force yourself because you thought it was a good game or something, and you heard from so many people or whatever?
Yeah, BioShock Infinite for sure.
I felt like I did that a lot more when I was younger because I just heard these games are good out of game magazines and stuff, and it was just stuff that wasn't my style.
Legacy of Kain. I did that for a Legacy of Kain.
Oh yeah.
Like the first
Blood Rain.
Yeah. Soul Reaver was the one I really had to fucking hammer myself through because everyone's like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, greatest game ever. It's on every demo pack out there. And like I can't get out of the first fucking level because it makes no fucking sense. I'm stuck in that stupid pit, and like you can no matter what cliff I grab onto, I can't get out, and all I do is sit there and keep doing that. And then like the blood one or the fucking one where you play as Kain and no
you
fuck.
do the sucking blood.
Yeah,
thing.
where you're just standing over them going and the blood just goes in your mouth.
Yeah, he has these high powered fangs. He's like
like I had to force that.
I did end up like enjoying it, but it wasn't what I expected. It was the bouncer. It was like a Do you remember the Bouncer by Square Enix? Yeah. Super like anime style game, but it was just like a brawler. And I remember like hearing really good things about it from like my friends and stuff, and we played it, and it was just like
Indigo Prophecy. I had to force myself through Indigo Prophecy. And at the end of it, I ended up liking it because that was a new genre of game style, and I was like, I can see the potential future in this, but Indigo Prophecy wasn't that amazing. Yeah, that was definitely one. Oh, and there's an RPG that I forced myself through there that I fucking hated.
Blue Dragon.
It's a bad one. Oh, is that what it's called? It was like a... Oh, no.
Blue Dragon is like Akira Toriyama art style.
No. It was... Oh, fuck. It was like little chibi characters and something... Oh, fuck. I'm trying to think. It's anime. It had like a whole soundtrack that everyone adored.
What system?
PlayStation 1.
Oh.
And it was like a big disc. It was a big disc pack. Fuck, I can't remember. But yeah, it was something white or something like that. I can't remember.
Actually, we skipped the news story this week, but Nightmare Creatures was one that, like... It was a horror game, and me and my friend just loved horror games so much. Like, we played Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like, you name it, we were playing it, Parasite Eve. And those are good games. But Nightmare Creatures was like... It's like Resident Evil monsters, but you actually get to, like, attack and hit them. And, like, action games at that time were, like... pretty piss poor.
Yeah.
And I remember us just like kept playing it. It was like not satisfying. And we're like, but it'll get good. And we just kept playing it and like, it wasn't great.
No. Fuck.
And Her Guys was another one that I didn't end up liking at all. And we kept playing it just because
everyone loved that game.
Cloud was in it.
Yeah, it was awful. Everyone fucking loved that game. And I'm like, it's a piece of shit.
I did not thought it controlled very well.
No. Yeah. There was a bunch of fighting games I forced myself through in the same context in order to try and like enjoy them, and never got into liking them. Same.
Even though, like, like Virtua Fighter is technically like a good fighting game, like it is like impenetrable to me. Like I didn't like any of the characters, and I think that's a huge element of playing a fighting game, obviously.
Yeah.
And the style was not like what I enjoyed from other fighting games either.
No, for sure. I definitely had to force myself through that. There were a lot of RPGs I used to try and force myself through in the beginning. I never made them through. I ended up giving up halfway through a lot of them, so I can't say I ever learned to like those ones.
There's a game on the Super Nintendo that like I just had, and when I got bored of all my
Alundra. Oh, that was a hard one.
That sounds so familiar. Sorry, I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, I got a Game Shark for Christmas, and I got cheat codes for Alundra, so I was determined to fucking like it. And that was a bad game. Oh, it took so much work to try and force myself through that piece of shit.
This looks so familiar.
Yeah. And I played the second one too, and it was like, oh, I had to fucking force my way through that piece of shit.
One that I just couldn't take after a certain point was Xenosaga, the ones on PS2 with the robot.
I had to force my way through that.
Fucking cutscenes were so long.
I enjoyed the first one enough to make my way through it enjoyable without forcing myself through, because I was such a fucking Xenogears fan, as everyone should know by this point. But the second one, it was like, oh my god, I probably should have just stabbed myself in the ass with a razor blade. It would have been easier. Like,
more enjoyable.
Yeah. Like, I just could not bring myself to, like... And I made it through, too. And then when 3 came out, I couldn't do it.
That's a harsh indictment of that.
Yeah.
That's third game, and you already made it through 2. Fuck. I think we made it through, like, I want to say 10 hours of the first one. 15 hours. And, like, I would say predominantly that was cutscenes. Like, it felt like...
Oh, yeah. No, the first half of it is just cutscenes.
Cheese Toast Kid really kept trying to like make me like the game. Like he was like, no, like this one's good. Like this one's good. We should keep playing. And I was like, no. Like I just couldn't.
No.
I don't know why. Like I don't know.
No, I totally understand. Xenosaga was hard. I don't even understand how they got 3 of those made.
Yeah, totally. All right. Clock it. How did your parents react to you wanting to be an artist? Just in general.
Well, you go first.
My parents have always been relatively supportive of being an artist. It's always been like support with an undertone of like, but like, do plumbing in the background or something. You know what I mean? Like follow your dreams, but also try to like hold yourself up with something else. You know what I mean? They were always trying to like make me, you can do this, but also maybe go into carpentry or like something that like is useful.
I consider myself very lucky in this context. My father wanted to be a photographer for his like whole life, and photography has never been an easy business to be lucrative in any fashion whatsoever. So my mother was with us, or like we were kids, and she was a home mom in the very beginning. Sorry, she worked at I forget. Anyways, doesn't matter. It was just a small part-time job, and my dad was the main breadwinner, working just average Joe jobs. And then they moved to BC with all of us, and my dad got a job working in a mine because it was really lucrative at the time, and my dad still wanted to be a photographer, really, really bad. So they dropped everything, and my mom was just like, fuck it. Like, you got to pursue your dreams. You only live once. You got to do whatever you want. And he opened up a photography store in BC. It was relatively lucrative. Long story short, they moved back to Ottawa for my dad so that he could get the job at the Canadian War Museum as the head photographer there. And he's actually had a permanent full-time position as a photographer his entire life because of it.
Cool.
But my mom has always been like, the job doesn't pay as much as most other big jobs, even for a government job. It's not the biggest, most lucrative profession out there in the universe, but it was what he loved doing and what he wanted to do. So she just kept forcing him to do it. It was the only way to make my dad happy. And he did. Sometimes he had to work 3 jobs. He did work 3 jobs once. He worked as the photographer at Canadian War Museum because it was part-time when he first started. I worked at a bike store and at Black Photography. And then eventually the photography job at the War Museum was a full-time, full-salary, full gig for him.
Cool.
And they sacrificed everything for that to happen. And my dad did that as well. Like, when we had no money, my dad is a huge collector of guitars. He loves his guitars. He plays guitars nonstop. It's his thing. And he had a collection of really expensive, rare guitars that he had gathered over his life. So we could have Christmas presents that year because my dad had to pursue his dreams and we were getting less money. He sold all of his guitars to buy us Christmas gifts.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah. Like, they did what they needed to do to make sure our dreams were pursued. So the moment I wanted to be anything when I was a kid, and I clicked and I was like, I want to do art, I want to draw, I want to be an animator. That was my first kind of goal, because gaming wasn't a thing really at the time.
Yeah. Or like art in games.
Art in
career
games.
was like...
Yeah. Like, there was no such thing. I was like, I want to be an animator and all that kind of stuff. They were just like, yep. Okay.
That's
and
nice.
like, I don't care what you do, just as long as you're doing what you love. And they've been a big proponent of always pursuing your dreams. Like, that's what they 100% have always been about. They did cheesy shit. Like, we'd have boards where we'd write down our dreams on the board and make a big collection of them, like swim with dolphins, and start checking them off and stuff. And they would do it. Like, I was always like, I always want to swim with dolphins and go to Disneyland. So they made a whole thing, put enough money together, even though we weren't really well off, and took us all to Disneyland. And
it's really
took
nice.
us, like, it was always dream chasing, no matter what, because they sacrificed everything in order to have it happen, and we lived a lower level, like, income lifestyle. I mean, it's not the case now, but it was at the time. So that they could be doing what they wanted to be doing.
Well, yeah, I don't have you freeloading artist kids just eating all our food anymore. Now they're well off.
Yeah.
It's lucky. It's nice.
Yeah, it was very particularly special. But I have to say, in contrast to that, as a teacher, I would say 70% of my students have parents who come in and keep making meetings with me to find out whether or not they can make money. And it's the first question they ask at every showcase.
I believe,
can they get a job? And I'm like, yes. Like, I don't do this because I just want to send people out into the universe with useless skills.
I think my mom particularly for a long time had this like notion in her head that I was going to be like an artist on the side of the street painting on a canvas, being like, I'll paint your portrait for $5, like something, or whatever, or like doing characters on a beach and like barely making money or something.
Yeah.
And then at some point she really started pushing like, you should do caricatures on the sidewalk and blah 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 stuff. And I was like, okay, you see what I draw, right?
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's like way to push it to some big goals. Like, you just be like on the side of the street like a fucking hobo doing your work. Like,
in my parents' eyes too, or no, not so much my parents, but my extended family's eyes. Like, I think a lot of them don't even like look at my art and consider it art, because they're very much of like the notion that like, oh, they drew a landscape, or they painted the lake or the mountain in the background or something, and they see my shit and they're like, the fuck is this? Like, what is he doing? Like, it's just like rabid ball of teeth and then like it looks like a testicle that came to life or something, and they're like, what is your son doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
here's when you should just like open up your store and be like, people are wearing this. This girl just got a tattoo of it.
Yeah. I know, and that shit like shocks a lot of my my other family.
Yeah.
All right. Fire up the next question.
Clock started.
What is the largest bias you try to overcome when forming an opinion about media? Not just like in general.
I was gonna say. I'm like, wait, they've launched a loaded question. Do we have 40 minutes?
How
do I not have a bias for media?
No. How do you avoid, like, when you're trying to forming a fair opinion, you know, and not just being like, I hate Director X, and so therefore I hate everything he does or something, you know, like trying to be aware of that and forming your opinion around it, you know what I mean? And being like, okay, even though I hate Leonardo DiCaprio, I acknowledge that his performance in The Revenant was good or something, you know what I mean? Like, exactly what you'd done like in the last podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that's all. I think a lot of it is just acknowledging what your biases are and not necessarily like.
Why do you find my passionate like moments where I'm like I hate something and you're like, dude? It's like
because I always think it's such random things to hate. I'm like Leo DiCaprio, like everyone agrees that he's like this fantastic actor and like should have gotten an Oscar years ago, and you're like he's fucking worthless. I'm like, oh okay, that's fine. I think a big part of it is just acknowledging that you have those biases. Like it goes back to like, you know, when you're a little kid and you're just like, you're like, I like Xbox or I like PlayStation. It's like those things, and that just carries a lot of time to like people being older and like they're like 30 and like they'll be like, oh yeah, fuck the PlayStation. You're like, really? Like we're 30 and you're loyal to this brand? It's fine. Like it doesn't matter anymore. Like you can afford both, or if you want it, or like
like you can make your own choices.
Yeah, like it's not a big deal. There's no such thing as this war in your head that's going on. You know,
I found that what kept me from doing bias though was actually those two actor friends I talked about in like 2 podcasts ago. I was like constantly harping on the movie that I hated, and I'd be like, no, that's a piece of shit, and I would never watch that. And they're like, well, it was fun for this point and this point. And they're like, did you think about like all the components of all the people involved, and like you can't just blame just the actors or some shit and all this stuff. And I realized that no matter what I said about any movie, that even if I disliked it, it was constantly fucking negative. And there's no fucking conversation. I sound like an asshole who hates everything, and everything's negative and nasty. And there are my friends over here in the corner who are just watching everything, and they are having the most wonderful time, and their life is full of positivity and wonderful things, and they're just enjoying the entertainment factor of what's happening around in their lives. And I was like, why am I not just letting myself be happy? Why do I need a bias to sit there and passionately tell myself I hate anything? I don't need to hate anything. I have no reason to hate anything. If you live in North America, you have all the potential possibilities to have an incredible life, hopefully, bar any unforeseen circumstances that will change that. But, you know, the mass majority of us are extremely blessed to be living in this world.
For sure.
Like, you have no fucking reason to be upset. And I could be happy 80 to 90% of my day, every day, without ever really truly hating anything. Why don't I just do that? And I was like, all right, you know what? If I stop getting that angry, my biases will go away. And it changed.
Interesting. It's just like, it was just like your general anger.
Yeah, because that's what the biases come from that, right? You're like, oh, I fucking hate that, and I can't stand watching that. Like, I mean, I don't like watching Leonardo DiCaprio, but if he's on the screen, I'm not going to be like, fuck that shit. I'm going to be like, all right, let's see what this movie's about. And I watched my way through Inception, and then I got to watch a great movie. Yep. Because I held my biases back and just didn't get angry about Leonardo DiCaprio because it doesn't fucking matter. You know? And it was just like, that sensation of being angry doesn't ever feel good. I don't care who you are. It's not a good feeling. And being biased and resentful and trying to hold that in just sucks.
Yeah, and I think like, for me, I've a bias towards like these like kind of cheesy like shitty like 80s horror movies that, like, you know, measuring the worth of a film a lot of times aren't good, and I have to acknowledge that. I can't just, so when someone's like, I don't like that, I can't be like, well, that's a great movie, why don't you like? I gotta be like, I understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't take my own personal bias towards. I like this certain like
about like when we first started becoming friends and we were like out in the smoking section, just like hanging out. Was I would bring something up and then you would be like, you know, like, oh, fucking Critters is the greatest movie ever, and I would give you this look and like, huh? And you'd be like, don't worry, I'm not really trying to defend myself here. I just really enjoy the movie, and I'm like,
yeah, like knowing between like entertainment for me and like actually thinking it's a good thing. I try to like actively separate those things. It's like, or even talking about a game, right? Like, you can't recommend something like Final Fantasy IX to everybody and expect them all to love it, because not everyone likes turn-based battle systems or anything like that. It's like, you can't get mad at them because they're like, you're like, you don't fucking love this game, the story, and they're like, no, I just don't like the fucking taking turns to battle.
Or like, I mean, the Final Fantasy guys put up a post going like celebrating the fucking 20 years of Final Fantasy VII, right? And then of course everyone's like, oh, Final Fantasy VII remake, where is it? And then everyone's like, Final Fantasy VII, it was a piece of shit. I don't know why everyone loves this game. It's overrated, blah, blah, yeah. And then like, why are you releasing this? And I'm like, fucking, who cares? There's 16 of them or 15 of them. Like, you can pick one.
Something that really annoys me is people who go out of their way to like tell you they hate something, and not in a conversation necessarily, but like they have a bumper sticker that's like, I hate Justin Bieber. And it's like, are you defining yourself by your lack of love for Justin Bieber?
Yeah, you're defining yourself by hate. Like, why?
It's weird. Or like people who like actively join Facebook groups. It's like, I hate Justin Bieber. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm picking Justin Bieber for this. I just remember seeing a lot of that shit, and it's just like, wow. Yeah. Why don't you trying to group for something you like rather than like this thing for why hate on other people enjoying that thing? You know,
yeah, like happiness is the best feeling in the world. Joy, goodness. That's
if it brings you happiness to hate Justin Bieber. I mean, is that
no? But it doesn't. It can't. So it's like, why are we pursuing anger? Like just like. Your news feed's full of negative shit. That's because you keep clicking on negative shit, and then the analytics read it and say like the only thing you like to read is negative shit. Click on the positive shit. Your feed will only be positive. You won't be less informed, and you'll be happier.
Mm-hmm. And I would encourage people to, just in general, I know we're going a lot over 5 minutes this one. If you're like, I'm just going to say, I'm going to bring into politics for a second. If you're a liberal and you just like rampantly hate conservatives for whatever reason, don't go to the conservative side of Twitter and just like browse some people's opinions who are insane. Mm-hmm. They're insane liberals, just as they're insane conservatives. Mm-hmm. Just go see what the counter argument is. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Just see where the other person's coming from. Yeah. You know, don't always just be like, well, everything X is bad and I love Y, and it's like, well, you know, whatever. Like,
yeah, the small little quick.
Don't immediately dismiss when.
There's an interesting point on the way to the movie today, or no. It was the way home yesterday. Doesn't matter. On the fucking Uber ride recently, the guy had CFRA playing, which is like the worst thing to listen to in the universe half the time.
Sure.
Especially if you lean more towards the left. Because there are some really fucking crazy people who call. And some of the calls that were calling in on the show were sitting there and they're calling and they're just like, well, you know, like now that the weed's going to be legal, like we better like pick up on the crime problems. And I'm like, Jesus. Okay, God, where do you live? But then other people call in and just have some interesting, like one or two calls every once in a while have interesting. He was very clearly conservative, but he had clear concerns as to the management and the system behind it, right? Mm-hmm. And or going into the idea that, you know what, right now the Liberal Party is constantly getting brought to court, and they're having a lot of problems because like they are pretty corrupt, and it's making my faith in the Liberal Party shake a lot as well. I'm not going to vote conservative, but you know, still it's a problem.
Yeah.
But hearing that perspective shook my perspective a bit for me to understand that there's not just my view.
It's not black and white. Yeah. You're not always the good guys.
Yeah.
You're not always the bad guys. Everywhere is someone in between, somewhere in between. And you just gotta like try and take other people's opinions.
And just don't listen to the ones who call in and are just like, them Jews hate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're not an important matter.
No, exactly. We're not saying like listen to the alt-right. Like, there's people carrying tiki torches, like, you don't need to listen.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't mean to get political, but yeah.
Torches. Why have all of them?
What world in Kingdom Hearts 3 would excite you the most?
The Toy Story one was interesting to me in the beginning. Now we have
Pixar, like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like a new one that we haven't seen? Or
Oh, yeah, one we haven't seen. Like, what would excite you? Not what you've seen.
Oh, so something we haven't seen before.
Yeah. I mean, we already know it's happening. Big Hero 6 was one that I would say. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, that's confirmed.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I didn't know that was there, but that would have been one. The Incredibles would have been cool, but since they have Big Hero 6, they won't do Incredibles.
Yeah. See, a lot of my favorite Disney movies are already tackled. Like they've already done.
I want to see Rescuers.
Oh yeah, actually yeah.
Yeah, not Down Under, Rescuers.
Yeah, Rescuers, the one where they go to the bog and the swamp and there's the crocodiles.
Yeah, not the giant bird and the little lame boy and everything.
The little lame boy.
He was lame. God, I was trying to think. There's another one.
Have they actually gone to Maleficent's world? No, right? They haven't gone to the Sword in the Stone or whatever. Or what the fuck? No, it's Black Cauldron.
It's Black Cauldron. So they haven't done Sword in the Stone. They do have Merlin though.
Yeah, see, they have characters. They don't have the worlds.
That would be a really cool world though to do too. Is Merlin keeps transforming you into different animals and shit throughout the whole level. That would be really cool.
See, yeah, they have my favorites. The ones I keep going back to, Nightmare Before Christmas and Aladdin, are like my tops, and I love those ones. Beauty and the Beast, another one. Again, they're in there.
Is Corpse Bride Disney?
No.
It was Tim Burton.
Was it Disney? I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I'm like 95%.
I'm pretty sure it's not too. Like I think it was a different studio. Just trying to go over some of the other stuff I'm trying to think of. Finding Nemo.
Oh. My only gripe with that is it's an underwater level. And
yeah,
we all know how
those turn out. Yeah, they're not very good. I don't think.
No, it's not Disney.
No. I don't think Finding Nemo would work out too great, but still, I think it might be a good one to try and get into.
Ratatouille, if you're in a kitchen. I feel like a lot of these are just small. Like even the...
They're all small so far, yeah.
Like the Rescuers, you'd be small because you'd be in this giant environment.
Oh, you know what would be fun, actually? Is, and I would be really excited for, is WALL-E.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
I don't really like WALL-E that much, but
I fucking adore WALL-E, but I would love to get on the ship and shit. And go around that crazy ship with all the fat people and stuff.
Oh, Inside Out would be cool. If you're jumping in other Disney characters' heads.
Oh,
and you see all their rage and envy and all those people in their own
and
heads
like
and stuff.
in your characters, like Donald Duck would be a rage, and Goofy would be what is it? Not fear. What was it? Was it fear?
No, not one of them.
Yeah.
He'd be like that. That's the one in control of that one. Yeah, that could be actually kind of fun.
Yeah,
transferring all these different what's going on in their
but also like all the levels and stuff, right? Because they had all the different personality islands and shit. Like that could be a whole thing, even if it was just in one person's personality. Although then again, you're like in there with like Heartless in his head, and you're like smashing parts of its head and stuff, and you're just like totally giving this child brain damage.
Gosh, don't hit my tumor, Sora. Just like eating away at him. This virus.
Yeah. They've done Tron, but they did Tron really badly, so I'd be super excited. I think it might be in this one. I'm not sure, but I would love them to redo Tron and go back to it and do it right. But classic Tron, not the new Tron, because I think the old classic Tron looked a little better.
They can't do Wreck-It Ralph because it's other video games. Frozen don't care about.
No.
We're getting a Tangled, aren't we? Didn't they confirm that? Yeah. That's the I love Tangled, so that's like another one that it's an obvious go-to.
And then some of the other ones just don't work, like Up. Like,
would you want to see? Yeah, you'd be in the jungle. What about? Let's flip this a little bit. What if we go into like Xanarkand? What if there's a Final Fantasy world?
That would be some of the things that I'd be super excited about. Is let's invert this around a little bit.
Yeah,
we've
let's
had
go to Xanarkand.
We've had the Final Fantasy characters, and for some reason they live in Twilight Town. But I'm like, they're not from there.
Yeah.
Like, go, and they're all like, when we forgot where we're from, and I'm like, they're all from the same fucking universe. Why haven't we gone there yet? Like, let's go to their worlds. So yeah, it'd be amazing to go to fucking Midgar.
Yeah,
and it'd be amazing to go to Xanarkand. It would be amazing to go to
Bland Garden.
What is with you in that garden?
Well, it's ruled by a giant yellow man.
It's the one garden you keep going back to.
It's the stupidest fucking twist in all of history. I love it.
Yeah. And go to fucking in Final Fantasy 9, the big ending world tree thing.
Oh yeah, that'd be a crazy world to go to.
Yeah.
I would have thought the main town, whatever that one was.
That's just a fucking like, let's just go to a castle.
Yeah, it's just a town, I guess. Yeah, actually going to the
Final Fantasy stuff would be way more exciting than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, for definitely. Best and worst job you've ever had?
Art wise or just in general?
In general.
In general.
Whatever. Yeah, this is just a random question.
I can answer you both. I mean, for my worst job I've ever had, equal to each one. First one, working at Bridgehead Coffee Shop. I've expressed this to you on the off air before, but quickly for everyone else who doesn't out there know that. Like my first job as like a what is that called? Where you work in the food industry. I was a barista, and like the way that they ran things was so tight. You weren't allowed to lean. You weren't allowed to like anything. You couldn't eat, and you had 15-minute breaks. So you're just pounding back iced coffee to try and fill your stomach up, running on like high caffeine. That's why that SNL joke always makes me laugh with the Jamba Juice and Natalie Portman, and they're all just so hyped up and wired, and they're just like, what do you mean you don't want to boost? It's everything we believe in. Like, it was like that.
Yeah.
And you would go to bed at, like, you get out at 10 after cleaning the whole place, go to bed because you had to wake up at 5 in the morning to go back, and you'd be dreaming about coffee. Yeah. I literally dreamed and smelt coffee on myself all the time.
I mean, that sounds nice.
And my second worst one was working at a bankruptcy agency, which just fucking fills in the blanks for that one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Art-wise, my worst job, strangely enough, was actually my first concept art job working for a military company. It was just monstrous horribleness, and I could never, ever go back to that. There are a lot of stories, but they take hours to tell.
My worst jobs, I have two. I really hated working at Aldo. Aldo, if you don't know, is a shoe company that sells shoes and purses and accessories.
Yeah.
I got hired because I was returning my ex-girlfriend's birthday presents. That's not as mean as it sounds. Like I'd gotten them for her birthday. We ended up breaking up, and then I was like, okay, like go back to the store, return your shit or whatever. Yeah. And so they asked me, like, they have to ask you, like, why are you returning this? And I was like, because my girlfriend broke up, and it was for her, not for me. Surprising, I know. And yep. She was like, oh, she's like, are you looking for a job? And I was like, no.
Weird.
Yeah, like she was like actively recruiting me based on just like my like conversing with her, because she thought I was like, I guess, an active participant in conversation. Anyways, turned to be like a mistake for her because like I took this like fucking test in the back that was like, what type of shoes are this? I fucked up every one but like one. It was just a matching thing. It was like, The only one I got was wedge because it looks like a wedge. I didn't know what a pump was. I didn't know. And anyways, they always like pushed you to like you need to get 15% in this in shoe accessories today, and you need to get like this many sales in this, and it was always just like I felt so bad like pushing things on people, like or just like her telling me like, we'll go out with this person, tell her this looks good with her, and I was like, I can't, and she's like, why? And I was like, I don't know that it does. Like, I feel like
it's so weird.
I feel like I'm being dishonest.
I've never ever had anyone ask me if I had a job, like if you wanted a job here, like just by walking up. Like I don't know anyone who does that. That sounds like 1950s shit.
It does, yeah.
You looking for a job, young man?
So that was bad, and then I also hated working at Old Navy. Because I worked at the
everyone hates no one ever liked that and Future Shop. Those two jobs everyone complains about.
Old Navy sucked. I opened for them, so we had to like put all the clothes out at the beginning of the day, like open the boxes, and they always wanted you to like do this fake ass like woo thing. Like anytime you like finish a box and put it on the thing and put it on the rack, like just give out a little woo, like get excited about like. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like I am not. I don't even want to be here, much less pretend to be excited about putting clothes out on a rack. Like, what are you doing to me? And like everyone did it, no problem, except for me and this one other girl, who would like we'd go outside and smoke and be like, "This is fucked, right?" Like, yeah, like, and I was like my one salvation, and it was just it was like this the fake like happy mentality. I was like, look, I'm not dealing with customers. If I have to, like, I'll be very kind and courteous to them, and I can do that, but like. While we're together at 6 a.m. when I haven't had coffee and you're making me like do this, I'm like, no, absolutely not.
No, the fucking corporate brainwashing shit is so real. Like my friends used to work at Future Shop, and every morning they had to get together, get in a big circle, and do a chant. Right?
Yeah,
like it'd be like we're good, Future Shop, yay, clap, something. Like they'd all have to do it, and I can't believe how mind-numbing that would be. And like I would never.
It might just break people down. Like so, I was working. There was a kid younger than me who was like the manager or the assistant, something like that. And
what is that from fucking Rick and Morty in the carpet store? That's what it's like, you know.
Yeah, no.
You started working at the carpet store and never did anything else with your life. Lame.
And so like this kid was working, and he's like the assistant manager or whatever. He's younger than me, and like I thought like he was like kind of a cool dude or whatever. Because just like we're just like doing like the whatever, putting clothes out like during the day where customers are there, and he's like so what, like he's like, so you enjoying yourself or whatever? And I was like, no. I was like, he's like, well, he's like kind of like taken aback, like what? And I was like, no, dude, I'm working at Old Navy putting a fucking shirt in a rack. I was like, why would I want to do this? This is not enjoyable. I'm here to get paid and leave. He like went and like tattled on me to the upper people, and then like I got taken into like the back room and like sat down with like the owner of the store, like, are you enjoying your job? Like really like seriously like concerned about me. And I'm like, I was super honest with him. I was like, no, this isn't what I want to do. Like, do I have to be excited? I'm doing a good job, right? And he was like, yes. And I was like, that's why we're concerned about your happiness. And I was like, don't be. I was like, no one enjoys this place. I was like, come on, level with me. Like, this is not.
That's not about getting yourself fired, though.
No, I think I think that dude like at least kind of like was like he was taken aback by it, but he was like, okay, like all right, like. I was like, yeah, I can put on a happy face out there and be fine. I'm not saying like fuck Old Navy to the customers, but like, I was like, no one wants to be here, man. Like,
and that's okay. It's okay to not be satisfied all the time. Satisfaction is not guaranteed.
That's basically what I was telling him. Like, he was like taken aback that this like 24-year-old was like unsatisfied working Old Navy on the lowest rung of the ladder, and I was like, really? Okay, man, that's fine. Yeah, what a weird place. I don't understand.
God, working retail sucks. Don't worry, guys. Anyone who's still stuck in it, that you will find a job that's not that.
You have to get okay, Stuff Clock?
Yeah.
You have to get a video game tattoo. Gun to your head. What do you pick? So no saying, I just wouldn't get one. Because I probably wouldn't, but...
No, I would.
The thing is, I've legitimately pondered this before, and like a lot of my favorite things just have stupid symbols. Like Silent Hill, I don't want like this weird satanic hex thing on me. Like Resident Evil, I don't want Nemesis, you know?
I mean, I've thought before, and it's not a game, but I used to want the Evangelion Gods on this earth, all stripes with the world with the fin for Nerve.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's a great symbol. I've always loved it, and I love that saying, and I love that whole component from Evangelion. I always wanted that. I ended up getting it on a bag, so I was fine.
You're like, good enough.
It's good enough. I have the messenger bag on me all the time. I had it for 10 years, and that was the thing. After 10 years, I was like, I don't really care about this symbol anymore, which is my problem with tattoos. And being an artist, I go through like my reference library. I'm like, why the fuck did I have this picture in there? That was never any good. But game wise, like...
I don't know why I would get it, but I've always liked the from the original BioShock, the like tattoo of the 3 chain links right here as like being a slave to whatever. I like that. It's very simple and like it's just 3 chain, like a chain across here. It's not like no one ever looked at that and be like, you a gamer? And you're like, fuck off. You know, like I just think it's like subtle enough that like no one's gonna talk about it.
Yeah. God,
I've seen a ton of Triforce tattoos that are just
no, I'd never do anything that like going that simple. Like it would have to be something that was very more personal to me and what I really enjoyed. I used to think about getting the meteor symbol for 7, just the meteor itself, because that was always a great little symbol. And,
I like that one.
And you know, you would have to be more of a fan to pick that one out. Without the Final Fantasy word, just the meteor itself.
I've seen so many people with the Zelda hearts across their chest.
Yeah.
It's a simple enough thing, I guess, that like it just looks like hearts, but like it's so like
I contemplated as well at a point was getting some of that artwork of the artist that did some of the Final Fantasy 15 recently. He's very famous. He does all that like watercolory, very wispy drawn stuff. Remember he did a whole piece for Final Fantasy 15 and they were like, look at this whole piece.
Oh, yeah, the guy who does all the logos and stuff. Yeah.
I've seen some of those logo pieces I've thought about doing, but again, like, they just fade into antiquity so easily for me. So I've never really thought about it in that context.
Funny, when you looked at it, you're like, what game is this?
Yeah. Plus, it would smudge so easily. God, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've never really...
I think a lot of my favorite stuff, like, just doesn't have, like, an iconic enough thing that I would be like, yes, that. Like... Yeah. Breath of Fire, I love. I don't want Ryu on me or a dragon or anything. Dino Crisis, I don't want Regina on me. Resident Evil, nothing from that. There's no like, I get like, no, I don't. I don't even want the umbrella symbol. Kind of cool.
Yeah, like I would go to Last of Us and get the Firefly symbol, but like I don't.
Yeah, that one's like I've seen a lot of people get. They've already gotten Ellie's tattoo from the actual game. Like she has that arm piece or whatever. Several people have gotten that already.
And even then, like I know. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, get like the symbol for there's a 3-dotted symbol that she has on everything.
I'm just gonna get this entire Persona 5 soundtrack, note for note.
Yeah, that would
all across my arm. They're like, "What piece is this?" They find my body, like, like, oh my god!
It's a good way to just ruin your life. Is just put "Never See It Coming" on your arm, and every time you're like, "Never see it come fucking."
That'd be great.
Yeah, I've never really...
Yeah, see, there's so many that are just like...
But I mean, like, if I had to, like, that's the thing, I'd probably go with my first choice there.
If I had to, I get the Bioshock one. It's small and just inconspicuous.
Yeah. I don't know. See, the other big thing to me,
I'd get Bowser's torso on my torso, leading down to, like, my dick. And then I'd tattoo spikes on my dick.
I think dick tattoos are so fucking weird.
Koopa Stomp.
Or get it as one of the flowers, like the head, the
fire flower.
The tip of your dick is the no, the muncher flower is the
the piranha plant. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
the tip of your dick is the mouth.
Oh, it's a chain chomp.
A chain chomp.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, I don't think I could pick anyone.
Your asshole is just tattooed with 1-up. The 1-up mushroom. Extra life.
No, I really. The thing is, for me, is like tattoos are like fucking such a bad thing in so many cultures. Like in Japan, if you have one on you, like you're not allowed in anything. So I really wouldn't want to have to work that out.
We're not saying get like a face piece, Mike. You can get it on your shoulder, like.
If you have a tattoo, you can't use any of the baths.
How the fuck are they gonna know?
There's a person who helps
put a little makeup on that shit. You'll be fine.
Yeah. They make you wear patches over it so that you can go in, and even then they don't like that.
Start the clock.
Mm-hmm.
What is one game you think is underrated and one you think is overrated?
Underrated game.
I don't think so anymore as much. I think it has something to prove now, but I thought Assassin's Creed 1 at the time was very overrated. 2 not so much. I thought 2 like executed like on it the promises of the first one. I didn't think the first one was very complete though. It was getting so many like good reviews and stuff, and it seemed like you can do like 3 things in this game. It has a promising start, but like it wasn't.
Assassin's Creed 2 was a better game.
But yeah, by far, right? Like
overrated is BioShock Infinite.
Oh yeah, that's like your most like
my most hated.
That's
game.
your Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like as overrated games come, like it's gotten like a fucking 98% of the time, and then like you play it, and you're like, this isn't even a 2. So
yeah, it's one of those ones that like I feel like even there's several games like this where listening to people in the industry, like they'll they talk about games that are highly rated, even with a like kind of like, maybe we rated that one too high type thing. Like, Bioshock Infinite's one of those. L.A. Noire is one of those. L.A. Noire is getting re-released now, so a lot of people are talking about it, and like there was even this conversation about like it has like an 87 on Metacritic or something, and like so many people just started like, whenever I hear it brought up, people are like, "Oof, that game did not work very well," or all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, like I was surprised because everyone seemed to at the time just be fucking raptured by this technology, the facial capture and stuff.
I mean, it's a funny case of underrated, overrated. Actually, for one game, and like our two games actually is Infamous, because like Infamous, I played it because it was like well reviewed when I first played it or first heard about it. Played it, was underwhelmed in the very beginning, plowed my way through the end of the game, and was suddenly just entranced and realized that it was was overrated, and then played it, got entranced, and realized it was underrated. And then I didn't realize how many other people hadn't played it yet, and I was like, how could you not have played Infamous? It's really great. And then people weren't liking it, so I'm like, this is an underrated game. Why isn't it better? But then everyone was freaking out about getting another Infamous. We got another one, and then everyone was like, oh, it's no good. I played it, and I'm like, this is way better than the first one. This is so underrated. And then it made it big, and then they're like, we gotta have a third one. So it was like this weird case of it fluctuating in itself in this weird love-hate relationship. But I would actually still say it to this day, like as much as Infamous is still a hit, I still feel it's a kind of underrated game, and it never got as much light as it should have.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, like it was definitely the talk of the town at several points, but like it never seemed like it stayed in conversation as long as it should have or something, you know. It was you don't hear it brought up as much, even though like the last entry isn't that far away, and like people just like there's no, you know.
It was the first game for me that got open world superpowered character like executed so well it felt good. I felt like I had a superpower that made this really great impact. I felt really engrossed. Like Spider-Man was just like, it only felt cool that I could swing around the city, but I didn't feel like I had any powers because everything else was paper. Like in this, I was like, I have lightning powers that literally function like all these awesome lightning powers I want. And I have like 12 different powers, like a sniping lightning and a lightning grenade and lightning magnetism, and I can suck electricity out of the side of buildings. And I was just like, this feels like lightning power. So it was very underrated in all of the components it did so well. Overrated is just, for me, Bioshock Infinite always just wipes everything else out.
I always tend to think, like, even though I like the games a lot, I always think the Grand Theft Auto games are overrated.
They're overrated.
Like
they're good games. It's just way the fuck overrated.
Yeah, like they get that amount of hype behind them. That I don't think is, or not hype. I mean hype. There's just like the talk about like, oh, it's a living world. It's all this shit. You can do all this stuff. It's like a lot of this. Like I remember.
Have you played other open world games at all?
I remember 5 getting all this praise because you can do all this like shit. You can like, if you want, you can go play tennis, and there's a whole like tennis game in there, and then you can go do a triathlon. And there's biking mechanics and swimming mechanics, all this other shit. And it's like, end of the day, like I didn't fucking touch any of that shit. I might have played tennis once, did the biking thing a couple times. Like it was just like, it was so like, that's not what I even came to this for. Maybe if you're a person who like, you bought one game for the year and you just need to explore every little bit of that game and want to master tennis in that game, go for it. But like, it was one of those things like, I don't think we should be giving it so many props for this. I thought the story was great, really enjoyed it, but like, mechanics themselves are nothing to write home about. Like the shooting didn't feel great or anything. Like I think I played with like auto aim on just so I could plow through the story. You know. And again, like the games, but like, I feel like there's always this like influx of just people who are like, here's like a fucking 10 and here's a 10 and A plus, blah blah, all this shit, and you're just like, I don't, okay.
Well, it's kind of the same thing for a lot of games like that. Like even that one that was like had that parachuting mechanic in it recently.
Oh, Just Cause.
Just Cause. I feel like that's an overrated game. A lot of people are like, Just Cause, and I'm like, well,
Just Cause 2 was really fun. It was unexpected at the time. That's what it was. It was Just Cause 2 was so unexpectedly fun. The game was like the actual like mission structure and like what you did in the game was shit, but the open part of it was so fun.
Underrated was that one with the zombies, where it was like parkour zombies.
Oh, Dying Light?
Dying Light.
Oh yeah, Dying Light's fucking amazing.
That's it was really fun. It was very underrated.
I fucking love Dying Light. I hope there's a sequel. We should play co-op if there's a sequel. Last one. Best video game soundtrack.
Persona 5. No.
Persona 5.
Persona 5. Like, it's just easily answered.
Persona 4, Persona 5, really good. Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10, 7,
Final Fantasy 7 for me. Like just picking out of all Final Fantasy soundtracks that I like the most. 7 sticks with me more. Those soundtracks play, and I get the emotion and feeling that comes from it. Mass Effect has some incredible piano and orchestral pieces. I love the
synthy like shit in Mass Effect.
The last piano piece that plays at the end of Mass Effect 3 right at the credits and stuff. I forget the name of the piece. There's actually a really great pianist who does a full solo version of it on YouTube. His name's Kyle Landry. And just fucking gorgeous piece. I listen to it like on my walks and stuff because it's just such a great piano piece. It's just an excellent soundtrack. Fucking Horizon Zero Dawn soundtrack is actually incredible. When you like second time playing through it, I was like, oh shit.
I don't remember any of the tracks.
When the music kicked in for the moments and stuff that it came into, I was like, Jesus, this is really actually quite moving.
I'm sure I would remember if I heard it, but like it didn't stick with me in the way that like a lot of those other ones did. Sometimes I almost feel like I feel like this is doing a disservice to it, but like I get like Stockholm Syndrome with some of the music because like everything I've mentioned so far has been an RPG. And it's just like I've heard these tunes for like 90 hours or however long I played the game, you know, like it's just like it gets stuck in my head and I'm like, all right, I forever love Final Fantasy 9, whatever, right? Like
but like
because a lot of them I can't pull a single fucking thing from.
The sign of a good track though too, like in the case of an RPG, the sign of a good track is that it isn't mind numbing at the end of it. Because like even Seven's like, you know, I'm like, you know, at the end of that game I am a little bit like okay, but it still kind of rings. I'm like, here we go, battle, right? But Persona 5, like that song for that fight sequence played thousands of times.
I never got tired of like trying to sync up the ending with like the
you'll
never see it coming
with the group thing, with the all out attack.
Yeah,
I would literally try and time it every time and be like, all right, here we go. Here we go. The music, never see you coming. I'm like, yeah. But like that was a sign of a great soundtrack. Persona 5 is still easily number one.
Yes, it's so
like,
good.
It's so fucking good.
So good.
And that, to me, even compared to Persona 4, I just found the music and the tone of the art style with that thievery / kind of jazzy, kind of like, and then that Neo Tokyo mix, like in the rain and the dark and the whole thing, it mixed in so fucking well. And all of it kind of said thief. Like, ugh, so good.
Yeah, see, all the games I'm thinking of, like, I can't, there's games I love, like Horizon Zero Dawn, where I could not think of a single, like, I can't think of any tunes in my head. All the stuff I'm thinking of is just shit I've dedicated, like, hours and hours to, which is always RPGs or fighting games. So, like,
I've had
Street Fighter 4 soundtrack, you know, like, I love that soundtrack, but it's like, I heard it on repeat for every battle I played.
Well, I was going to say, another one of my number ones is Last of Us soundtracks. Now, there's almost no music.
I was going to say,
in that whole game, but those guitar tracks.
Oh yeah, okay.
And and like for the beginning, middle, and end, they use it a couple of times. I have those tracks. They're incredible. They give me chills every time. It's a band, but they did both of these games. Is the band that did Transistor and Bastion?
Oh yeah.
Both of those. Fucking ingenious.
That's a good choice actually, because I could kind of hear Bastion in my head, and I played it for like 10 hours of my life or something.
Yeah,
you know,
there's 3 vocal tracks that are awesome, but even the level tracks are awesome. Transistor has some incredibly good. There's a female vocalist, I forget her name.
I fucking love Pokemon soundtracks.
No, I'm sorry, I have to veto those.
No, those are great.
Nope.
Those are great little tunes. Nope. Could be totally nostalgia, but like, love them.
Nope.
Nope, that I don't love them?
Nope, you're not allowed.
Not loud? I thought you were denying that like I did.
Nope,
I'm like lying to you.
Yeah, you're a liar.
I'm trying to impress you.
There's no such thing.
Pokemon soundtrack.
Yeah, this is how I impress my friends. I like Pokemons.
The Digimon TV opening theme. Digiboot.
Digiboot?
I think that's what he says.
Digimon.
No. We'll listen to it right after this.
It's Digimon.
No, he doesn't say Digimon.
He doesn't say Digiboot.
He says Digiboot.
No.
He's like Digiboot. Digiboot.
No.
Yeah, he says Digiboot.
No.
Didgeridoo.
Well, you'll meet us up with the next week, guys, and let you know who won that fight.
Spoiler warning. It was Mike. All right.
Oh, you know I'm right.
No, fuck off. It's Didgeridoo, you idiot. Okay. So let's do the last thing of the fucking podcast. Keep or kill. The reigning champs right now are Spyro, Cloud, and Solid Snake and Deku. They've all won at least 2 rounds, and they're fine. They're going to the championships. So we got a new little round for you. These are people who have yet to win 2 or have not been even in the running yet. So you're gonna tell me who you keep. Keep or kill.
Mm.
Round 3. Wario or Mario?
Who?
Wario or Mario?
Mario. I'm gonna keep that little diseased piece of shit.
Unusually harsh. Joel from The Last of Us or Shepard from Mass Effect?
Isn't it like Shepard my Shepard instead of just Shepard though?
Yeah, it's your Shepard.
Fucking fuck.
I've created this one really like tough through line where you have to choose between ones I know you really like. I did like Lara Croft and Joel before. And, like...
I don't know if I like Joel as much as I like Ellie, or fuck.
Come on, keep or kill.
I don't know. I think maybe my Shepard doesn't have that much of fucking like personality, because like Shepard's like defined by your personality, and I don't really think it was like your choices and not it was me. So do I like myself more than I like Joel? Probably not. So I'll keep Joel.
My Shepard was Renegade through and through. Tank or Behemoth? And Behemoth from Final Fantasy.
And Tank from Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
I'll keep the Behemoth.
Oh.
The Tank's neat, but it's just a big fat guy. I mean, design-wise, the Behemoth is way cooler.
I mean, Tank's the muscular one.
Yeah, it's just a big guy. It's just a big, muscular person. Like,
this one's a funny one. Aang from Avatar or Homer Simpson?
What?
Yeah.
Aang.
That's a good call.
Yeah. Right, I mean, like, what the fuck? Like, Homer's been around for, like, 32 years. Let's give someone some new air.
Joker or the Vision?
Keep Joker. Yeah. For sure. I mean, Vision doesn't have anything to give except for, like, a mind beam once in a while.
He's boiled his character down to like he's a beam.
He's a beam.
Wario Mario, I would have picked Wario.
Yeah.
Joel or Shepard, that is a tough one.
Yeah, because it's your Shepard, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do you like you more than you like the character?
I might have picked Shepard.
Yeah.
Tank or Behemoth, I would have picked Behemoth. Aang or Homer, I would have picked Aang. And Joker or Vision, I would have picked Joker also. So, really differ on two. Alright, that's it. They'll make it around 4.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week's Pens and Pixels podcast. I hope you enjoyed this 5-minute warning. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at TheKelG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. And Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison. On Twitter, we are PNP_podcast.
Yeah, so you can give us a like, share, and subscribe on all major social media as well. Give us a like and share and subscribe on YouTube. Give us all of that love on SoundCloud. Give it to us as well on iTunes. Give us a nice rating. Drop us a comment on anything we discussed before. If you want to give your answers to these questions that we've gone over today as well, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So be sure to drop us a comment down below. Other than that,
keep on popping.
Maybe I should just stick with it. Go away.
Pop Nation.
Just end there. Just go away. I thought, like...
I like the one we...